welcome to Community Digest. I'm Arti Nehru. At this point, police don't know what motive Ramirez had. There is a possibility she's attempted this before in a different city. Hundreds of people from all over the county came together to learn about the man behind the uniform and to celebrate the life he lived. A lot of things in this green home turn on with the touch of a finger. Let's say your hands are dirty and you don't want to grab onto the handle of the faucet. A simple touch can turn it on and turn it off. More than 1 million tons of trash in Orange County comes here every year. That trash then decomposes and turns into gas, and the gas is used to create electricity. The weekend marked the unveiling of the Disneyland Resort's $1 billion makeover of Disney California Adventure. The owner of this DeLorean tried to make the car look like the one in Back to the Future too. Although it's not actually a time-traveling machine, here at the DeLorean Motor Company, it does feel as if you've gone back in time. 90% of your shot depends on how well you mount the gun. Besides shooting tips like these, the kids walk away from here with many life lessons. This is Arti Nehru reporting.
Well, I quit driving. I basically quit reading because it was too hard.
Dan Dunbar of Costa Mesa is 81 years old. He first started having trouble seeing about 8 years ago.
I was driving back from Bakersfield and I realized I really shouldn't be driving. I can't see what's on the road.
Dunbar also had trouble doing simpler things, like using his computer.
You tend to compensate, okay? And pretty soon you can't compensate anymore and you say, oh, I really can't see that.
Dunbar is one of millions of people in the United States who have macular degeneration, an age-related disease that's the leading cause of blindness for people over 65.
So macular degeneration is a condition of the retina, which is in the back part of the eye. If you think about the eye like a camera, there's several components, and the film is the retina. And in macular degeneration, the film has been damaged, and it can be, you can get fluid, or you can get bleeding, or you can get scarring.
You can also lose the central part of your vision and gradually go blind.
It's hard. I'd concluded that my vision was going to continue to degenerate.
Dunbar was legally blind. It was this tiny telescope that helped restore his vision. It went from 2500 to 2050. That's 10 times better.
The telescope is a very small device that is implanted inside the eye to magnify images.
Dr. Sumit Garg is a cornea specialist at the UCI Gavin Herbert Eye Institute. It's the only place in Orange County where a newly FDA-approved treatment called Centrosight is available. Although Dunbar didn't receive the treatment here, he was one of the first people in the country to try it last year. A mini telescope was implanted in his left eye during an outpatient surgery to help restore his vision.
There wasn't any pain, discomfort. I could feel that there was something different in my eye, but it wasn't a problem.
But there was a healing process and a training process. It took Dunbar months to get used to seeing things closer with his new lens.
If you're, 30 feet away, it looks out of the lens that you're only 10 feet from it. Which is kind of handy, because when you ski, you're not going to run into anything, because everything is so close, you're going to avoid it.
Once Dunbar adjusted to seeing through the telescope in his eye, the changes were visible.
I could see the walk, don't walk sign on the intersection when I'm trying to cross it. I never could do that before. So I think the most astounding thing was the day I discovered that I could see, if I looked at a person, I could see their face.
While he still can't drive, Dunbar's restored vision let him go skiing with his grandchildren last winter.
I'd run into fences and I wouldn't make a turn when I was supposed to make a turn because I couldn't see that far. But this time I could see where I was going.
I have a patient who now enjoys watching baseball again. He's a 94-year-old patient who wasn't able to see the scores, wasn't able to see the TV, and is now able to do that.
There is a screening process to qualify for the Centrosight treatment program.
Patients who have end-stage macular degeneration in both eyes, patients who are phakic, which means have not had cataract surgery before, and there's several other anatomic and functional requirements that they have to meet.
The goal of implanting the telescope is to go from severely impaired vision to useful vision. Centrosight is one treatment, but there are others available.
Some treatments for macular degeneration include vitamin supplements, wearing sunglasses, UV protection, not smoking.
To be proactive, Dr. Garg recommends getting screened yearly. That way, like Dunbar, you can catch the problem while there's still time to fix it.
Each day it gets better. I get to see more. There we go.
Arti Nehru, Real Orange. A standing ovation welcomed former President Bill Clinton to UCI. The excited crowd started lining up for the California's Voice rally hours beforehand.
I'm just hoping for a good speech from Bill Clinton, which I've come to expect.
Was it worth the wait?
Absolutely. I have such a bad back. I said, I hope I can stand it.
Clinton fans got the speech they were looking for.
You need to send these people to Congress because they will protect the future of American education.
Although he appealed to college students and touched upon several issues like women's rights, the national debt, health care, green energy, and jobs, the former president came with one specific agenda: to endorse 5 Democrats in Southern California.
You have to vote for them and for these other members and candidates that are in this audience. Will you do it? Thank you.
There were no tickets to participate in the rally. Thousands of people showed up, including students and folks from the community, and some undecided voters.
Having a president here will boost me to go vote and make the right decision of what I actually believe in.
I think for the candidates, it's going to be a good poll booster and give them maybe hopefully an edge in their races.
Candidates like Alan Lowenthal, facing a close race for Congress, are counting on that edge. He says having a key player like Clinton makes a difference when it comes to mobilizing voters.
We will win these races if we can turn out voters who typically don't turn out. That is students and people who only vote once every 4 years. President Clinton is the person that brings those voters out. Not just a former president, a person that this country and this state and this region idolizes.
Somebody big like this coming in at the last minute and making a big public endorsement can absolutely help.
Louis DeCipio is a political science professor at UCI. He says with some races running fairly close, this kind of endorsement can be a game changer.
They're making an effort to win, each of those 5 seats with, one of their biggest stars. Does it have a bounce? Yeah, it has a little bit of a bounce, certainly, but the bounce will continue tomorrow and the next day as sort of word spreads that President Clinton had been here and he made this public endorsement.
How much the endorsement helps will be decided at the polls on November 6th. In Irvine, Arti Nehru, Real Orange. The Tustin blimp hangars used to warehouse airships that patrolled the Pacific coast during World War II. Now, a new generation of airships is about to emerge from this giant structure. You're looking at the Aeroscraft. It's a cross between a jet and the Goodyear blimp.
Mr. Igor Pasternak, who is the chief architect behind this aircraft, designed it to challenge and change the cargo industry.
This is the cockpit where a pilot and co-pilot can operate the aircraft from just as they would in a regular plane. One of the most fascinating differences, however, is that with the Aerocraft, you can land and take off vertically. That means no runways are required.
For example, say that you're in Orange County and you're in a parking lot. You're going to be able to lift up a cargo of up to 66 tons and then take it to an untenable area like, for example, Alaska.
The vertical takeoff is meant to come in handy when transporting military or commercial cargo. They could also make a life or death difference, providing relief to areas hit by disaster like Haiti.
There's no ports, there's no aircraft. They couldn't take enough supplies in at one load, and a helicopter was all they could use. So this vehicle could take 6 times that amount at one shot, at 1/3 the cost of a helicopter.
Timothy Kenny is a mechanical engineer for this first-of-its-kind airship. He's been working on the Aeroscraft since the design and build phase began more than 3 years ago. He says what makes this aircraft different from a blimp is that it has variable buoyancy.
A traditional blimp flies lighter than air. That means if a passenger gets on, we have to take weight off. This aircraft allows it not to have that problem.
And the Aeroscraft has been designed to withstand any environment.
Any environment, from desert, from humidity to rain, sleet, ice, snow, water. It's 260 feet long, it's about 100 feet wide, and 70 feet tall. This aircraft here is the 60-ton prototype. Basically, we're building a demonstrator vehicle on this. The next vehicle will be about 200 feet longer.
This prototype is slated to be complete by November, and test flights will begin by the end of the year.
The workload that this vehicle requires is very low. One pilot can actually fly this whole aircraft just fine.
Besides transporting cargo, there have been talks about using the Aeroscraft in other ways.
I mean, 66 tons of cargo could be anything. It could be a luxury hotel, it could be a cruise ship in the air, you know, a 300 passengers cruise ship, bowling alleys, the whole works. Nobody would get seasick.
Although the Aeroscraft would travel much slower than a regular plane at about 115 miles per hour, Kenny predicts people would still want to use it as a luxury mode of travel.
You could go from LA to San Francisco via a casino instead of sitting in your car for 8 hours. Maybe you sit in for 6 hours and you just play craps all day.
In Tustin, Arti Nehru, Real Orange.